Welcome to Folk Tales. I'm Dominic Zammit, Director at Boatfolk, and throughout this series I'll be joined by a wealth of guests from the UK's boating community who will be sharing their stories of lives spent in, on or by the water. This is a podcast by Boatfolk for Boatfolk, and I hope you enjoy listening. Today we learn about the groundbreaking and high-profile project to bring wild oysters back into the water at Conwy Marina. We join the Boatfolk team at Conwy, who've been speaking with Maria Hayden-Hughes from the School of Ocean Sciences at Bangor University and Celine Gamble from the Zoological Society of London, all about the project and what it will mean for the future of Conwy Bay. Let's hear what they had to say.
Thank you for doing this, by the way. Obviously, when we've seen each other, it's been a bit crazy. And obviously you were down here the other week and the media were here and everything like that. So it's nice to speak to you both properly. So yeah, if you just want to introduce yourselves really, who you are, what you do, that kind of thing.
So my name's Maria Hayden-Hughes. I'm the local project officer for the Wild Oysters Project. I'm based in the School of Ocean Sciences at Bangor University. And through my role is to engage with the local community with school visits and volunteering events and monitoring the oyster nurseries that we've got in the marinas in Conwy Bay.
Cool, thank you very much.
Yeah, so my name's Celine Gamble. I'm a project manager for the Wild Oysters Project and I'm based at the Zoological Society of London, most commonly known for the two zoos that we have, but also it's an international conservation charity. And we've got the kind of amazing opportunity to be part of this national Wild Oysters Project that delivers sites in not only Conwy Bay, but also Firth of Clyde in Scotland and also Tyne and Wear in the northeast of England. So kind of overseeing the development of all of those 3 sites.
Cool, thank you very much. And on that, so obviously I've seen you here in Conwy. Have you done the other 2 sites yet, or are they in progress? Or what's
Exactly, yeah. So we delivered the Tyne and Wear site just the week before we were in Conwy Bay. So I was there on the northeast coast, putting in the same amount of oysters, so 1,300 oysters in underneath marina pontoons in Sunderland Marina and also the Port of Blyth. So it looks a little bit different to Conwy Bay, but still lovely in its own right. So yeah, no, really exciting to do it there as well.
Yeah, cool. No, it was amazing to see the whole operation, and for people listening, it's just been happening over the past kind of few weeks, months really, hasn't it? It's obviously COVID played a part a little bit and things like that, but yeah, it's been great to see, and it's obviously all the pros and cons which will come with it. It's just amazing. And yeah, so kind of on the pros and cons, so I'll just fly into one of the questions I've wrote down here. So kind of what is the Wild Oyster Project? What will it bring?
Yes, so the Wild Oysters Project is basically a collaborative project between the Zoological Society of London, the Blue Marine Foundation and British Marine, working to restore native oysters around the UK. And we've been awarded £1.18 million by the Postcode Dream Trust, which is a really exciting, huge amount of money to be able to deliver these 3 sites. And it's really exciting in Wales. Obviously, we've collaborated with Bangor University School of Ocean Sciences to deliver the project locally and worked with Maria to basically develop the Wild Oysters Hub for Conwy Bay. And yeah, COVID has played a part in terms of delaying us being able to visit the sites. But yeah, it's been really exciting to be able to actually deliver it in these recent weeks. So yeah.
Yeah, great. So Maria, with the Bangor University side of things, so obviously I spoke to some of your guys that were here last week or the week before, and so they kind of volunteer and help along a little bit. Are they on a certain course in university? How does it work on that side of things?
So the volunteers that we're helping with deployment, so one is an applied student who's carrying out a year-long research project within the School of Ocean Sciences. So she was keen to take part in some field work because of course with COVID not been able to get much. And then we also have master's students that we're also assisting, so they're actually completing their master's research projects, working on the Wild Oysters Project, so researching certain research questions, whether that's to do with sort of how the nurseries provide sort of shelter and facilitate other species as well, like small juvenile fish and things, so they'll be monitoring that as well.
Cool. No, that's amazing. So obviously, for people listening, oysters we all kind of know and love for kind of the food. I used to hate them as a little kid. I just remember tasting one for the first time and it was horrible. And I think I've not tried one since. But I kind of, with you guys being here, and you've obviously got a website and things like that now, haven't you? So I've been reading up, and they're amazing species, aren't they? They give the planet so much. And I don't know if you just want to delve into that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone kind of remembers their first, well, having said that, I actually haven't eaten an oyster, but whenever I do talk to people about eating them, everyone seems to remember their different experiences, and it seems like it's a differing experience for many different people. But yeah, I think through this project, we've got the exciting opportunity to basically kind of talk about all the other benefits that oysters provide us with. And I like to say that although they're kind of small in size, they're capable of making some big changes in our marine environment. So a single oyster can filter up to 200 litres of water per day. And we've put 1,300 of them in Conwy Bay, and they'll be kind of working away and filtering the water and hopefully cleaning up the coastal water in the nearby proximity. But also the way that the project's been designed by lowering these nurseries underneath pontoons, it also provides a kind of space for other biodiversity to interact with our oysters in the nurseries. So in the coming months, Maria will be heading down to the pontoons again to check up on them. And when she does that, she'll be able to see all the kind of associated biodiversity and range of different species that will interact with the nurseries as well.
Brilliant. No, it's quite nice to like kind of look outside the office here and look at kind of just where the oysters will be sitting and kind of just doing their work really. And it's nice to obviously see them back here at Conwy where they once upon a time, weren't they? So is that kind of the reason why you picked Conwy Marina? Can you kind of delve into that side?
Yeah, so because the Wild Oysters Project, it was, they wanted a site in Wales, Scotland and in England. So when looking for a Welsh site, it was quite good because Bangor University have done a lot of work, a lot of research in the River Conwy. So that information was really vital in understanding the local ecology and understanding that local environment can support native oysters and is suitable for them. And then also I've carried out research looking into the history of oyster fisheries, native oyster fisheries in Wales. And there were some productive oyster beds in the Menai Strait, near Carnarvon, off Puffin Island, and also around Anglesey and Roscollon, and also by Cladwyn Island as well. But those productive beds were active in the 1800s, so quite a long time ago, so people don't tend to remember. But it dates way back because they also found some oyster shells on the Great Orme dating back to the Neolithic and Stone Age, so that's about 12,000 years ago. So oysters were in the area and quite abundant as well. So it is quite exciting to be able to reintroduce this lost species into Conwy Bay.
Oh, no way. I didn't realise it went back that far. That's amazing. No, it's great. It's like, I love the fact that native species are being brought back in certain areas of the world and they're being protected more and things like that. We've got another thing that's happening here at Conwy Marina where they're actually going to test the water and things like that and see kind of if non-native species are in the water and things like this. And no, it's great that they're being reintroduced. Obviously, most people know Conwy for the mussels and the industry that brings here. And I rightly agree with that. They're really cool, but it's so good to see oysters coming back, and kind of thank you for that. Obviously, thank you for post-COVID vaccine and things like that to come back.
No, it's really interesting because like you've got the local mussel fishery, but it was actually the fishers that initially approached the university to sort of inquire about having native oysters in Conwy and to sort of diversify their fishery and how they remember their ancestors originally fishing like a mix of oysters and mussels, and whether it was still feasible. So it was all really quite nice how it all came together. And now we're working with like local stakeholders and engaging with these different people. And yeah, we've got oysters back in Conwy.
Oh, brilliant. That's amazing. I didn't know about the fishery side of things. So that's great. Yeah, so obviously installing the oysters and things like that. So you were down here, it must have been about 2 weeks ago, mustn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
Time's flying at the moment. So kind of what happened to begin with? So obviously you had somebody installing the cages and then things like that. Is that what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So the project has a few different phases. So we're in the phase 1 of the project, which was basically getting all the infrastructure in place to kind of house the nurseries underneath marina pontoons. So we work with local contractors in the local area to basically provide that really neat hatch that we have along the pontoon structure, and then also worked with a different company to develop the kind of housing structure for the oysters themselves. So that took quite a lot of planning. So the project did start in June last year, and it's taken a lot of work to kind of work with those stakeholders, but also kind of competent authorities and getting the right permissions and licenses to be able to do the work. So it's been a lot of kind of work in the planning to get to this stage of getting the oysters in. And like I mentioned, we've done this in Wales and northeast England, and we're just kind of waiting to get our final oysters in Firth of Clyde. And once that's done, we'll have put 4,000 oysters into the sea around the UK at this first stage of the project. And then looking forward, our second stage is basically trying to restore the seabed. So the oysters in their new homes will be releasing larvae over the summer months, and they'll follow the kind of hydrodynamics of the water and then eventually find a place to settle on that seabed. And that's what we're trying to do in terms of restoring the wild populations of native oysters. And that's the kind of second stage of the project that we're currently working on, gathering as much information together to try and understand where they'll end up and kind of restore that area of the seabed as well.
Cool, yeah. So I was going to ask some questions about the oysters. So when the larvae is produced or whatever, then the chlorine obviously takes the larvae out, and then that's when it will kind of maybe sit in Conwy River, might go out into the Great Orme area and things like that. Is that basically what will happen from an oysters growing point of view?
Yeah, so you get male and female oysters, so they will release their gametes into the water, and they fertilise into the water and become larvae, which then are passive in the water column, so are transported by the currents, the tides and the wind. And then after about 7 to 10 days, when their energy reserves that they would have got in the yolk are running low, they then will fall to the bottom of the seabed and start bouncing along the seabed using their foot to try and find suitable substrate. So it's usually like other oysters or oyster shell, but other shelly substrate is suitable. That sort of calcium carbonate is what they prefer. And then they'll fix themselves onto that substrate, and then that's where they'll grow for the rest of their lives.
That is mad. That's like evolution at its like proudest moment, that, isn't it? That's mad.
Yeah.
So that's why, obviously, I assume that's why they kind of get on well with mussels, shall we say, as a friendly species. Can they latch on to mussels? Does that grow together? Does that happen?
It has been reported in other parts of Europe. They're sort of like them growing next to one another, as they're both filter feeders, and they both sort of live in the sort of similar intertidal, subtidal zone on the seabed. But yeah, oysters tend to sort of group together, and that's when you find these sort of like, they can form these complex structures as each year on year, more and more oyster larvae will settle on top of one another and then hopefully form these like complex oyster reef habitat.
Oh, cool. Wow. It's such an amazing species. It's like, I never knew about oysters before talking to you guys, really. Quite fascinating for me. I probably geek out about it, I think, now. Yeah, so in terms of people listening, keeping up to date with what's going on, obviously, I think you set a website up, or there's a website live now, is there, and things like that. Can you tell people how to kind of track it?
Absolutely, yeah. So we launched our website a few weeks ago, and you can find the website either by searching Wild Oysters Project on Google, or you can find it on wild-oysters.org. And on that page, there's a dedicated page for the Conwy Bay site. So you'll be able to find more information about that site there. We're also on all of the social media channels. So on the website, you can click through to the social media pages. So we're on Twitter, Instagram, and also have a closed Facebook group for volunteers as well. So yeah, we post quite regularly and kind of keeping people up to date with the progress of the project as well.
Cool. So you mentioned volunteering. So can people volunteer? Does it open at some point? That kind of stuff. Can you do that?
Yes. So now the oysters are in the water, so that's when sort of the hard work begins. So I'll be carrying out monthly monitoring of the oysters, checking that they're all settling in well, and also monitoring what other animals are interacting with those nurseries. So to do that, we're hoping to train up a team of volunteers through our citizen science program. And we'll also be arranging school visits as well, and just get the kids all involved and learning about their local marine environment. So if anyone is interested in volunteering or to arrange a school visit, they're able to email us on wild.oysters@zsl.org and just put in the subject line Conwy Bay and just write a little bit about what you'd be interested in getting involved with, and myself or Celine will get back to you.
Oh, that's brilliant. I'll be turning up with the kids, I think, just pretending to be one of the kids, just going, yeah, I want to know about them. Right, so obviously you've been here at Conwy Marina the past few weeks and stuff. So What's your impression been of it? Is it you kind of felt at home a little bit? How's it been?
Absolutely. It feels like from the moment we've got in touch with the marina, everyone's been really facilitative and trying to encourage and support the project as much as possible. And I suppose at the very beginning, when we were planning the project, we were looking for British Marine member marinas through our kind of contact there. And this site came up as a really nice opportunity to engage, and then kind of coming down and visit. It's a lovely marina. It's a gorgeous site. It's probably one of the best looking marinas that we're working with as part of the project. So it was a really great opportunity to engage the marina. And I know that Maria has enjoyed coming down to the marina site as well.
Yeah, no, everyone's been really accommodating, and they just can't do enough. Whenever I have a question or a query, there's always like a team of your team down in Conwy Marina are always keen to help and are really enthusiastic to get involved as well, which is brilliant because, that's what you need for a project like this to succeed, definitely.
Absolutely. And just to add to that as well, with the project, a kind of key group of stakeholders we were wanting to engage with were the kind of marine industry, and reaching a different kind of group of stakeholders to who we usually engage with through kind of traditional kind of conservation festivals or that kind of thing. So I think it's provided us with a really unique opportunity to engage with the berth holders at the marina. And, every time I've been there, and I'm sure Maria would say the same, the berth holders are always very curious and asking lots of questions. And when you start talking about the project, you can see they're very interested. So I have a feeling that we might have some engagement from them and people signing up, and that's exactly what we want to happen.
Definitely.
No, it's quite funny. As soon as you guys left, the amount of people that have been asking, and they're quite excited and things like that, and they're so curious to see what's going on, because we haven't had something like this for a while, and even for the staff, it was quite nice to see you guys doing the work in the yard here, and just watching you scrub all those oysters was entertaining, to be honest. Yeah, no, I wish people had seen it. Obviously, the COVID rules at the time, the border was closed and stuff like that, so people didn't really see much of it going on, and it's a shame, really. But there's a lot of photos and videos and stuff like that which will be coming out, and the media outlets have already put out and things like that people can look at. But yeah, we may as well finish off there. But I've got some rubbish jokes for you. Are you ready? About oysters? Okay.
Yes.
So, my oyster used to be really shy. Then one day he came out of his shell. Right. The next one is good as well. What's made of chocolate, has a shell, and lives at the bottom of the sea? An oyster egg.
Oh, I like that one. Topical.
Yes.
Yes. I like it.
And then the last one. Did you hear about the lazy oyster? It wouldn't move a muscle.
Love it.
There you go.
Again, very topical to Conwy.
Exactly. You can take them away with you and use them as much as you want.
Write those down.
Yeah, but no, thank you very much for doing this, and thank you very much for choosing Conwy Marina, and we're all really excited, and obviously I'm sure I'll see Maria here and there, and maybe you as well, Celine. So yeah, thanks again. And if anyone wants to know more and things like that, they can visit your website, and obviously just give Wild Oyster Project a Google, and you've got a Twitter page as well, which you update quite a lot and things like that. So yeah, you'll find them online, and yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks Conwy Marina as well for having us, providing us with a space for the project. It's couldn't be possible without the marina, so thanks from us.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
To find out more about the Wild Oyster Project and any other sustainability initiatives Boatfolk are involved with, you can visit www.boatfolk.co.uk. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Folktales, and join us for the next episode soon.